How's it going, guys? BossFightTV here, doing coverage of UFGT8 out of Chicago, Illinois. I was lucky enough to find this gentleman in the hallway, running around crazy. Everybody should know this face as the one, the only EMP TriForce Johnson. Now, you make a lot of rounds out to events like this, and you're actually very involved with the community as the founder and organizer of Empire Arcadia. Can you tell us a little bit about that and your experience actually in the organization?
Well, yes, the Empire Arcadia is a development organization for digital community, cultures, and the industry, so for video games. So we pretty much gather talent and utilize their talents and experiences to create new markets in the video game industry and the scene as a whole. So we've been doing this for about 10 years, since 2002. We were established in 2002. We were founded in 1984. And throughout my experience in the scene, yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe I'm still running around, you know, managing some of these guys and getting them out to tournaments and, you know, seeing how well they do. But, you know, it's worth it. We just won another major. We won Virtual Fighter 5 with Dankai, and we got a couple of our guys, Sanford and Jerron. They're in top 8 for Cross Tech and the Street Fighter. So, yeah, it's still good.
So you actually do travel around to a lot of events. I've seen you at MLG events before, and even local community-based events like this. In your opinion, what do you like about UFGT8, and how is it different from other events that you've been to?
Well, UFGT8 is considered an actual major. It's a real major. There are a lot of people that says, okay, this community tournament's a major. In reality, it's just a regional because the majors are based on the turnouts. And it's also based on how well you structure the tournament, how well it's run. And Keats, I'm surprised because this is my first Ultimate Fighting Game tournament ever that I've ever been to. And Keats has done a very good job. He runs it on time. The structure that they have for it, I think all fighting game tournaments within the fighting game community should adopt his style because it's run professionally, it's run on time, and it's just run great. So from, you know, comparing it to like something like well, let me see what I would consider a regional, like Civil War. Civil War is a regional. I wouldn't consider it a major. The numbers does not justify it being a major, and the coverage it gets doesn't consider it, you know, a major. But something like UFGT will be a great step in this the direction for the fighting game community to follow and get bigger. And so I would like to see that followed out. You know, our next event is CEO. We're going to try to get out to CEO, but if we don't make it to CEO, we'll definitely be at MLG. But MLG is not a community tournament. That's what we call, that's a league, so that's in the industry. It's completely different.
Now, you actually hit on a lot of points there, and one of the terms you actually use is professional. Yeah. Actually, as far as you've seen events and as long as you've been in the community, how do you think that competitive gaming has progressed, especially here in the fighting game community at events like this?
Well, competitive gaming has progressed immensely. When you look at what competitive gaming started out from, which was from Twin Galaxies, it was just about going to the arcades, getting high scores, and so forth. Then that evolved into gathering, you know, gaming communities gathering. They still used the arcades at the time, and they had head-to-head competition. Now they're using hotels and convention centers, so to speak, to host their video game tournaments, and this is all run out from the community. So, you know, that's really what competitive gaming is getting other people throughout your community to compete in a particular video game and, you know, find out who's the best. You showcase your skills and things of that nature. And you learn a lot from the competitive scene because it's not just playing a game to have fun. There's an in-depth element for high-level competition that you get to enjoy from a spectator's point of view, rather than you just being at your friend's house watching your friends play video games and enjoying it for the sole purpose of it being entertained.
Now, with all these mentioned MLG as a league and all of these events, even the smaller community events, with just all the attention they've been getting and they grow larger and larger each year, do you feel that eSports is something? I know that there's it's kind of seen as almost like a tension between the fighting game community and quote unquote eSports. How do you feel that is affecting the fighting game community? And going forward with more events, do you feel that it's something to keep an eye on as far as which event is esports and which event is a fighting game event?
Well, okay, first of all, competitive gaming and esports are literally two different things, but they're the same. The competitive gaming is the umbrella. Esports is a section of competitive gaming. It still falls under the competitive gaming umbrella. And what esports is esports is an institution. It's a structured institution. They create a league. They have all these corporations in or outside of the video game industry come in and they sponsor the event. So they balloon it with a lot of different prizes and money so that they can set up some type of professional infrastructure so competitors can become actual professional gamers. They can, create a career out of it, so to speak, playing. So that's what actual esports is versus competitive gaming where, you can create your own sanctioned event, lobbying hundreds of gamers to come compete, much like what UFGT is. That's literally what UFGT is versus what MLG does for competitive gaming. No, for esports. Now, the tension that's in it, it comes from two different aspects. The players in the fighting game community versus the fighting game community as a whole. Esports helps the fighting game community for what the fighting game community is. If you look at the fighting game community like a business, it's its own entity. And then you have people that work within that entity. The people in the entity don't like esports, but the fighting game, entity itself loves esports because esports is only helping the fighting game community grow. Although the fighting games is in a competitive gaming realm, by it going in the realm of esports, it can only get bigger. It will only help the communities grow. It'll do a lot for the gamers. Gamers can now actually opt for viable careers as an actual professional gamer rather than, going through the communities and going through the same stuff over and over again, finding their own money to come out to the video game tournaments and so forth.
We actually see a lot of the players actually from Empire Arcadia appears to be making that step. Players like Sanford Kelly and Tom Brady that are actually propelled themselves to a professional status. With plans like that, how do you go forward as the founder and leader of Empire Arcadia? What do you have in the future planned for more events like this, but more so even just the organization as much?
Well, for this organization, competitive gaming is just one facet of the organization. Like I said, we're a development organization, and we try to develop the different elements in gaming: fashion in gaming, art in gaming, media in gaming, music in gaming, and the list goes on. Competitive gaming is just one of them. So where we're working with Tom Brady, we're trying to get Tom Brady integrated into MLG, and so far so good. He's now commentating for MLG. He'll be covering E3 for MLG, and that's a service the organization provides on a competitive field. So we use our players and we market our players to the video game scene as a whole, not just the communities but also the leagues and the industry. And when they do that, we try to focus on the other elements. So it's not just that. We want to go out there and help and be constructive and productive to society. We want to try to give back to society, so we do charities and things of that nature. We go to conventions and festivals like MagFest and stuff like that, and we try to do like fashion shows. We enjoy the video game concerts. We try to use our players' influence to get more people involved in the scene. So we don't have any one focus when it comes to development in gaming. We try to do them all, and we utilize our players to create those bridges. Each of the players, you can consider them to be like some type of an agent of Empire Arcadia that connects these different elements in gaming and help them to expand. And right now, our hottest player is Tom Brady. He's on fire right now. A lot of people like to rag on him and say, hey, when are you going to win your next major? But he's already won, majors. He places top 8, top 9, throughout the majors that he goes through. Like I think he got 9th here, but he got 4th at Power Up. So what matters is what he can do for the scene as a whole by getting other people who don't know too much about video games to get involved, learn about it, and be entertained. So that's what he's doing right now, and he's doing a great job. Good job, Tom.
As always, an absolute pleasure to have you out at events and supporting not only your organization but the community as a whole. Do you have any last words or maybe shout outs that you'd like to give?
Well, despite the fighting game community, some of the things that irk me about it, I would like to give a shout out to the fighting game community. Keith's great job on UFGT. I'm saying that sincerely, despite whatever people say. I'm enjoying this event. I like how it's ran and everything. They have these things all separated and ran properly. Obviously, I want to give a shout out to and a thanks to the guys in Empire Arcade that's keeping the fighting game division open. Sanford Kelly, Jerron Grayson, you guys out there. Shout outs back at the Arc, Craymore, holding it down for our streams on Diablo 3, definitely. And I want to give a shout out to some of the other people that's helping me stay in the game, like Nintendo. Definitely want to give a shout out to Nintendo. These guys have always been there for me. And pretty much that's it.
Well, thank you for taking the time to sit with us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.